Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Hole Chronicles. This is Sarah Best, your host, flying solo again today. And this is week 3, part 3 of our special 4-part series for Mental Health Awareness Month. Our guest today is pretty fantastic. She also happens to be my second cousin once removed. I'm happy to report. Let me tell you a little bit about Tara Giuliano. Tara is the Chief Marketing Officer at Nuveen, which is a Fortune 20 financial services giant company. She has served as a member of the executive team of multiple organizations dating back to the age of 24. I won't tell you what age she is now, but she's had a very successful career, always in financial services marketing. She's a graduate of The Ohio State University, OH. She really has a global platform. Most significantly, she has found a way through research and through personal experience to connect financial well-being with mental health. She has a personal story to share that helps us appreciate how financial health and mental health go hand in hand. Tara uses a lot of her global platforms to advocate for women, for diversity and inclusion and equity for women in leadership positions, and also as a staunch advocate for mental health. She'll share a little bit about her story and what she does, keeping her mental health in check. A couple things too, just to share about Tara. She's had an award-winning few years. She was voted top 50 most influential leaders in financial marketing communication in 2024. Also this year, Communicator of the Year from the Association of National Advertisers. In 2023, she was CMO of the Year as voted by Wealth Management. She also recently attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. She will talk a little bit about that and the dress she wore. Tara is fantastic. I can't wait to dig in. So let's go.
The Boss Hole Chronicles are brought to you by real.good.ventures, the talent optimization firm helping organizations diagnose their most critical people and execution issues with world-class analytics. Make sure to check out all the resources in the show notes and be sure to follow us and share your feedback. Enjoy today's episode.
Tara Giuliano, so good to have you with us today on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Tara, I have to ask, by the age of 24, you were already the director of a Fortune 100 company. You were engaged to be married. You had a 6-figure income. You wrote a book. The book is called The Little Helpful Guide to Have Everything You Want by Your 30th Birthday. And there's some pretty powerful messages in there. Is that book still available?
Well, it is not still available,
okay.
But it was a really fun thing to do when I was, much younger.
Right.
It came about because I moved up so quickly in my career at a young age. A lot of younger women started asking me to be their mentor.
Yes.
And mentoring has been such a crucial part to, I guess I should say, you know this, but my father did not finish high school. None of my immediate family went to college. No one in my immediate family worked in corporate America. And so I did not have people in my neighborhood or people in my family that could serve as mentors in my career. And so I've really had to rely on structured mentor programs in companies. Even in my business school as an undergraduate student, just finding older students that were really successful and asking them for their advice and their help. And so it's a pattern I continued to repeat throughout my career, and I still do. But I felt at a very young age that I should give back to others because it was so important to me. And I kept finding myself sort of giving the same rules to live by over and over again. And one of my mentees said, you should write this down. This should become a little tip book. And so that's how the book originally came about. And the publisher that I worked with wanted to add in all these other kinds of tips outside of the workplace to make it, cute and marketable. And some of that stuff is probably not very modern today. But I think the rules to live by around passion and confidence in what you do and around being overly prepared and walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And some of those rules I still live by for sure today.
I love that. I love that. Just so we're clear, it's called The Little Helpful Guide on How to Have Everything You Want by Your 30th Birthday. And
Yeah.
quite honestly, well, you just explained how this all came to be, but by the age of 24, you were already working at a director level in a Fortune 100 company. So I would offer too, Tara, we had the opportunity to have you take the predictive index because we like to know what's the behavioral drives, like what's the magic, the superpowers this person has. You're a strategist. You see the big picture. You like to get results. You're action oriented, competitive, perhaps. You're very
Yes.
proactive, but you also keep an eye on efficiency and detail and accuracy. So there's speed to market. Which is probably accounts for a lot of why you have been successful and why you were successful at such a young age. So let's kind of start there if we can. Let's dig in and have you talk a little bit more about how your career progressed. I think the thing I'm most interested to know, Tara, as we know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. That's a lot for a young woman to take on. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts you've done on other episodes. You had a way in which you did this, where you embraced challenge. You weren't afraid to say no. You weren't scared to let go of something you were comfortable with. Maybe just let's dig in there.
Sure. So, like I mentioned before, I constantly tried to find people that I could emulate their
Yeah.
success. Because again, I didn't have that in my community growing up. I didn't have a lot of rules in my household. My parents are old hippies, and I think that provided a wonderful environment, but I sort of am so controlling and contrived with my day to day and my schedule and how I've gone about everything, probably as a result of not necessarily having that in my upbringing. And so my dad always taught me that education was the most important thing that I could do to kind of get out of the community that I was in and to pave a new way for myself. And it was very wise of him as someone who hadn't finished high school and hadn't gone to college, but knew the criticality of that and really pushed me on grades and on college. And I didn't know how to navigate any of that. I really just kind of figured it out on my own. I didn't apply to more than one college. I only applied to Ohio State. That's the only college I applied to. I just didn't know how to do any of it.
Is there any other college? Oh, I'm sorry. OH. Okay. No, great.
Well,
Yes.
with the grades and the financial situation I was in,
Yes.
and my test scores, I probably could have, really expand my horizon there, but I just didn't know any better. And
Sure.
so as I kind of got into school, as I got into early parts of my career, I've just always had to kind of like wear a mask, not really tell people about, where I was from or my situation, and just kind of assimilate, but find these successful people that I could emulate, I could learn from, I could, grab onto.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got the director role so young in my early career was because I formally signed up for a mentorship program. I received a female mentor that said, "Are you willing for me to be radically honest?" I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
She just let it rip in terms of, if you want to be a manager, which was my goal at the time, here's all the things you need to do differently. You need to dress like a manager. You need to walk like a manager. You need to build your network, not just sit in your cube with your head down doing good work. And all this advice she gave me, which would have been hard to hear at the time, was critical. And then I said, well, help me to, introduce me to folks, help me, learn the ways. And while now, modern day, we would say, well, we shouldn't have to assimilate to the corporate environment, or we should be able to be ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This was early 2000s where, kind of putting your head down, wearing that mask and, seeing what's around you and emulating that was a path to success. And so she started introducing me to other senior female leaders who then I, absorbed everything that they had to say to me and put my hand up for roles that might be open. and started volunteering for things outside of my actual day work to show
Hmm.
that I had all different kinds of skills and that I had managerial skills. And eventually, as roles opened up, these other senior women thought of me and arguably placed me into some of these roles, even without having an interview, because I had done the hard work to kind of build my network and raise my hand and do all the things that I learned from others. And so I've always had this innate curiosity, which has helped me both learn business, learn
Hmm.
the business, but also be willing to learn from others. And so, a very senior woman at my first company I ever worked for pulled me up a few rungs of the ladder, which even the company said, we can't do that. And she said, too bad. I want her in this role. And that first company was in Ohio. I'd grown up in Ohio. I had, big visions for myself of kind of moving beyond Ohio in my career and in my life. I was an international business major in Ohio State, but yet had never left the country. So why I chose that path, I'm not really sure, but I always
Hmm.
joke I probably saw it on a movie or something.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to work in a global company. And
Yeah.
a recruiter called my mentor at Nationwide, that first company I worked at, and said, "Are you interested in hearing about this opportunity in Chicago?" And she said, "No, but I know someone who is." And so she referred me, even though I was working with her at the time. She knew it was the right career move for me and something I'd be very interested in, even though I was completely underqualified and too green for the role they were looking for. I just interviewed very well. I had her as a referral source. And, next thing you know, I was packing my bags and moving to Chicago to be part of a very global company where I was running the Americas marketing organization,
Yeah.
still, very young, under the age of 30. And I got to travel the world. I got to be part of a really large global European company for some time. And until I wanted to start my family, that really worked great for me. And I took a career move to a different firm where I had a different work-life balance for some time, and kind of pivoted. And since then, really, opportunities have just presented themselves to me because
Mm.
I've continued to build my network and my brand. And I've now gotten to the point where I am the chief marketing officer of a large global asset manager, which is the dream job.
Hmm.
And a senior woman said to me a couple of years ago, "You have the job now. You can take off the mask. So let's take off the mask. You don't have to put the head down and do. Now let's tell your story.
Mm.
Now let's show vulnerability because that's how you inspire others and that's how you create followership. And that's how you unlock real value as a leader. And it's some of the best advice I've ever been given. And it's brought me so much joy, even through the hard times in the last few years that I've gone through. It's brought me so much joy to be vulnerable because it's been an outpouring of people, that I've worked with over the years, that I work with today, people that I know from the industry, family, people just coming out and thanking me for admitting, where I've come from, the hardships that I've had to face to get here, and the personal family struggles that I've had as well.
Oh, Tara, that's so incredible. And you led us right to where I hoped we would go, which is an opportunity for you to share an incredible, significant loss you experienced in your family. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you would share the story of your beautiful brother, Luke.
Yeah, so as I sort of set it up, we had the same family upbringing, um, but yet took different ways sort of out of the situation. And while I took the path of like, I'm going to achieve and kind of get out of here, he was a brilliant artist and musician and used creativity as his kind of outlet in life, but eventually fell to alcoholism and depression, and ultimately took his life over 5 years ago. And it was a huge wake up call for me. And, the path that I had been on in life and just running as hard as I was. And of course, a lot of guilt that you feel for time that you wish you spent or things that you wish that you did different. But I've been using the opportunity of course to memorialize him and honor him. We spread his ashes all over the places in the world that he wanted to go, and it was actually a request he made in his life, was that someday, I hope you feed me to the fish and the Great Barrier Reef, and that you take me to the mountains of Alaska. And so I've very much taken that to heart and honor him. But it's also a wake up call for me, in all the hours I spend working. And, I work in the financial services industry, and, I am a chief marketing officer, but what does
Yeah.
that really mean? What am I really doing? And, I'm very lucky that I work for a mission-driven company that is serving both not-for-profit workers, but also just Americans and international investors around the world. And at the end of the day, we're trying to create products and solutions that brings that financial stability to people and to communities. And that has, as our research has proven, innate linkage with mental health. And my brother, he had taken out tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And the last phone call he made before he took his life was to the collections agency.
Oh.
That is how much that weighed on him. And I made this connection. It's like I'm here every day, I'm working, and yet I need to bring more awareness to the fact that these two things are linked, because whether it's mental health issues that lead to financial instability, or financial instability which leads to mental health issues, either way, we know that those two things are very much linked. And also, by the way, physical health is linked to those things. And so now I have this platform where
Yes.
I can partner with all of my other financial services companies in the world, and the CMOs that I'm a part of many networks with, to kind of tell this story, as well as to our large financial services clients and partners. And so I've been a little bit on a mission, and certainly Mental Health Month is really important to me to continue to tell this story to the world.
Oh, I just saw this morning a video that you posted on LinkedIn, just like maybe yesterday or a very short time ago. We'll make sure, Tara, that we link to that in the show notes so that people, it's a short video, but it's powerful, and it highlights, the platform that you're speaking about. That's a nice segue into, I mean, this has been an award-winning couple of years for you. You have been recognized as a Communicator of the Year by I think it's the Association of, it's ANA. What do we call that?
National advertisers, yes.
Yeah, Association of National Advertisers. You were Chief Marketing Officer of the Year. And I think even in 2023, there were other awards. Your story and your efforts and your impact now are reaching broad audiences. Now you're on the board. Tell us about your engagement with the Kennedy School at Harvard and what they're doing with this platform and this research you're talking about.
I am part of the Women's Leadership Board
That's
at
it.
the Kennedy School at Harvard, and
Yes.
they have a program specifically around, women and policy and gender equality.
Mm.
And my parent company, TIAA, has a proprietary institute where we conduct research on, actually, the TIAA Institute is who, under my executive sponsorship, created the study to actually show the innate linkage between mental health and financial wellness. But
Mm.
the TIA Institute also conducts research on longevity, on all kinds of topics, because they all end up relating back to retirement and relating to investing. And so they have a partnership with Harvard, where Harvard researchers are helping us with our proprietary research. And they asked that I be the sort of, if I would like to be one of the female leaders representing the company on the board. So I got to spend all day yesterday with two ex-prime ministers, some of the world's leading females in Africa and other developing nations on programs to really bring more gender equality to life. So really, really special. And I'm looking forward to doing more there. I also had the privilege of speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, earlier this year
Mm.
on gender equality as well with the female quotient. And that was specifically why women are uniquely suited to lead in corporate settings. And I really had to do a ton of research to think through why women, and I spent a lot of time thinking about the investment management industry specifically where I am, why women are important assets on executive teams. And there's a ton of research out there that show that corporations that have women on executive teams produce higher profits and have higher engagement with employees. And so, I talked about a lot of that, but also just from a brain functioning perspective, we make decisions differently. And we think through all aspects of a problem before making a decision. And, the male brain really fires in that one particular area where that decision is being made. And I think we need both, right? One is
Yes.
perhaps more effective and one is more efficient, right? And so the culmination of those two things is the power of teaming, I think, between male and female. So definitely, in addition to mental health being a huge platform for me, another big platform for me is advocating for women leaders, particularly within a very male dominated, sector that I work in.
I love the sound of that. It's music to my ears. I'm going to ask you, Tara, there's been incredible experiences, incredible growth, the status that you've achieved. It's powerful. And it's not lost on me that you're using the status, to achieve the advocacy and to be that person that you want to be. Can you tell us about what are some of the challenges you personally have dealt with? Have you ever experienced depression, or when has it been hard for you? And then I know I've certainly read up on what you do, like in the morning, your morning routine. What are the things you do to combat the stress, the being worn down? Tell us about that.
I think I've been on an airplane almost every week since January 1st.
Mm.
I work long hours. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a family member, I'm on a lot of boards. So it's a question I get a lot. It's like, how can you do all of this? And for me, the gut check and losing my brother has been to really make sure that I have my own mental health in check. And as my daughter, we run on the anxious side. So I have always had more of the anxiety side of the equation
Hmm.
than depression. And so the best ways that I can manage my anxiety is my morning routine. And so I always recommend the 5 a.m. club or
Yes.
Miracle Morning. Several different books out there that are of the same ilk, but the only real time I have to myself to be in quiet is very early in the morning. And so I have this sort of power hour, as I call it, where I get in sweaty exercise, I meditate, I journal, I try to read something inspirational or something that can help me learn. I walk my dog and I get sunlight and I get nature first thing in the morning and fresh air and really take that all in. I juice, try to fill my body with something healthy to kind of start my day. And that hour makes all the world of difference because I can very much notice the days that I don't do it. So for me, that's important. The other thing is I live in a city, I work in cities. And so I also have a lake home that I've recently purchased, and, going there and just being in quiet and being in nature and hiking and reading and being with my family is also, I feel like I crave it. My mental health craves that. And I really get in tune with, all that's around me. And I feel that some weird way, my brother's legacy is the reason I purchased this home,
Hmm.
because it would have just been his happy place, and I call it my happy place because he was just such one with nature. And we have a creek and we have bald eagles that live on our property. And it's just a really special way to kind of unwind and think, and
Hmm.
relax.
Well, and I love the fact that he's who you think about when you're there. His happy
Yes.
place is your happy place. That's amazing.
I
Um,
think the other thing is just, as a manager,
hmm.
I am more than open and encouraging of people openly talking about mental health. And I think that's also rare. We recently have offered to our entire company, all managers, all leaders, to take mental health training. So we have mental health first aid available to all employees at no
Mm,
cost to them across TIA and Nuveen. So TIA is our parent company.
yeah.
We've really done a rallying cry to leaders and managers to ask them to take that training so they can understand signs with their employee base of people that may be struggling, and also learn what to say or what to ask or what not to say or what not to ask, right? As a non-professional,
Right.
as it relates to mental health. And so I think we have a duty in the private sector as leaders and managers to be open about this. That's been one of the biggest things that I've seen as I've started to tell my story in a very open way is people have reached out and say, wow, I haven't seen a lot of senior executives just be willing to so openly talk about this. And that's what they used to say about cancer, right? If we go back decades, it was the C word. People
Yes.
wouldn't openly talk about it. So we couldn't openly prevent it. Now we all talk about ways to prevent cancer on a daily basis, right? Cancer prevention, whether it's what we eat, whether it's what we do, it's a very open dialogue.
Right.
The first way to prevent suicide is to openly talk about suicide. And it unfortunately, the societal norm is not to do that. And that's
Right.
another big thing that I think we need to change if we really want to prevent it.
Yeah, and I would have to say, Tara, as a family member, a cousin of yours, I really marveled and continue to marvel at how your family has openly shared about Luke. You've invited us into the story of his life. You've allowed us to help you celebrate his life in a variety of ways, but you're fierce advocates for the dialogue. And you've invited us to be part of walks and other, good awareness raising events in the spirit of let's bring it out of the darkness and into the light.
Yes.
Pretty powerful. So it's been an award-winning couple of years. You are jet setting all over the world. It's some really amazing and unique experiences, which I can tell you don't take for granted. You're seeing each of these as an addition to your platform, but you're joining with people, you're expanding your network. You recently were invited to and attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think it'd be fun for our listeners to just understand and know a little bit about that experience for you. By the way, the dress you wore was stunning. You and your husband looked amazing. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I feel really privileged to be able to be a guest of CNBC, given all the work that we do with them, to be able to have that invitation. But you're right. The first question was, oh gosh, what do I wear? So that was an interesting, there's a lot of protocol around that. You must wear a full length gown unless you're a celebrity. A lot of people tend to wear red, white, and blue as a nod to the president. So
Mm-hmm.
I figured that part out. But, my husband and I described it as it's like you're at a high school prom, but you didn't go to the high school. So a lot of people know each other, obviously, and in those media circuits. And of course, we had, governors and senators and the president and the vice president, of course, in attendance as well. But yes, I mean, just to be in the room and to be part of it and to have a lot of laughs with both Colin Jost and the president. I sat at a table with several other really powerful CMOs and heads of marketing from important companies like Google and TikTok. And so that was also an amazing experience. So yeah, just a little bit of a pinch me moment, definitely a bucket list item.
Oh, we get to live a little bit, through you on that. Thank you. I love hearing about that. What can we anticipate next, for you? What's coming down the pike for you? What's up
Well,
next?
one
Yeah.
of the things I'm really trying to do is to think through the next generation. So the demography of this country is changing rapidly, right?
Mm-hmm.
80% of new labor force is Hispanic. My industry in particular is one that, has largely sort of ignored the Hispanic demographic when we think about investing in our products and our retirement solutions. So it's something that's high on our mind of understanding the needs and the desires this new demographic and new population, and how we need to change as an industry accordingly. I think also, just if you look at, age, we know that the Gen Z and Alpha, they are going to want something very different from a financial services company than our traditional models,
Right.
which are, largely an older, financial advisor, many times male,
Mm-hmm.
providing you with advice. They are, doing things instantaneously on their phone. And so what does that mean for the future of, financial advice and how that's provided and how we help people make really smart decisions and make sure that they have what they need for retirement? I think that's also going to look very different, let alone some of these big world issues like climate change and things related to nature and things related to community resilience, and mental health fits right alongside all of that. I think big companies like mine have a role to play in thinking through, as the world shifts and as the demography shifts. We need to shift, and we need to be there to help people, because as we said, from the start, financial stability is sort of at the heart of all of it.
Yeah. Oh, it sure is. Man, I feel like we could continue to unpack the relationship between financial health. But first of all, thank you, Tara, for sharing your personal story. I just personally want to say thank you for your savvy, for the amazing way you deliver your intellect. You're a smart lady, really smart, but you're honest and authentic too. And I would say, thank God you're a strategist, because these are big challenges you just described. This is daunting and probably feels daunting to a lot of people, but you're exactly the kind of person to take this on, because you won't stop. You'll figure out a way.
Thank you. I don't know how you did it, but I feel in a very short amount of questions, you somehow nailed my profile. So I was very, very pleased to see that, and very curious, honestly, how that methodology worked. But it was a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do, but because I am disciplined and focused, and all those characteristics that you noted, I'm not going to give up anytime soon. So
Oh, thank God for that. What do you do for fun? Like, what brings you joy?
I am a voracious reader. And
Wow.
I think, one of my babysitters, as I joke, when I was young, was the library. I just loved, piles of books. We would be on vacation somewhere, or camping or something, and my parents would be trying to get me to do the activity, and I just wanted to keep reading. And I
Hmm.
don't feel like that's stopped. So, I'm constantly having my nose in a good book on planes and on trains and everything else that I'm doing. I love to do yoga. I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be some of them.
Yeah, you do travel a lot with your family. I see
Yeah,
on Facebook.
yeah.
It's great to see the places you go, and the way you always envelop your daughter in everything that you're doing. That's pretty
We're
powerful.
definitely adventurous. So when we go somewhere, we're not just sitting on the beach. We're go, 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 explore, learn, develop.
Tara, thank you so much once again for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
having me.
Yeah, we wish you the best, and I'm going to be watching. There's going to be more to tell in your story. I'm 100% certain of that.
Thank you so much.
So we'll see you next time on the Boss Hole Chronicles. Thanks, everybody.
We'd like to thank our guest today on the Boss Hole Chronicles. And if you have a Boss Hole Chronicles story of your own, please email us at mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. Once again, mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. We'll see you again soon.